What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Fury here, and for this week's character review I want to present to you Fenrir. Yes, everyone's favorite warrior ghost. This week brought us a couple of interesting updates that will certainly last a long time. Changes to girls like Joan and Ithil that have called into question Fenrir's viability, but we'll be putting those concerns to rest in this video. So stay tuned because we're gonna be starting now.
I wanna be immortal, like a god in the sky. I wanna be a silk flower.
Alright, here she is, Fenrir in her amazing glory. I had to actually rebuild her because I did feel that she was, falling off a little bit, a few months ago, but I had to rebuild her. She is fantastic for all sorts of sneaky little tricks in PvE. I'm looking at old campus exploration for this. But here we've noticed that she has incredible viability in PvP, even with the recent changes. Those changes that I'm referring to are the Joan and Ithil skills, where Fenrir could block their active skills. Joan has the Remnant, which could imply multiple ticks of damage, as well as Ithil, whenever she deployed her pursue, would stack multiple ticks of those pursue onto the enemy. Fenrir could block each and every one of them and just do insane amounts of damage with her passive skill. That has been patched recently in this week. Those active skills will no longer be blockable after the first tick. The assist on Joan though can still be blocked, but that'll be a video for another time. For now, Fenrir, her viability has not gone down at all. So we're going to be looking at some of her skills and abilities here. Let's start first with her active skill, Devastation. This one is going to target 3 random enemies and do 206% of attack and bleed them for 3 rounds. So that's damage over time, dealing 100% of her attack for each of those rounds. If the target is in the front line, she will also deal 15% of the target's max HP, which is capped at 1500% of her own attack. So this HP damage is very nice. We'd like to see that in this current meta. And if the target is in the back line, she will deal 108% of attack. That's extra damage. Okay, there it is. This will crit. So, nice little Aqua-like skills, actually, if I'm being honest. But it's nice that she has a little dual mode ability here for doing extra damage to frontline or backline enemies. The bleed here, of course, is just damage over time. It's procted and will also occur at the end of the round. Go look over here, look at her passive, just so we know what we're talking about. Her passive here are the static buffs. This is what increases her HP by 40%, her attack by 30%, the armor break by 40%, and block rate by 60%. This one definitely note down, because Fenrir is one of the stronger block heroes, and this rate is what helps her achieve that. The attack and HP is always welcomed, and then the armor break helps that those bleed stacks, as well as her regular damage, but the HP percent damage won't really be affected by its armor break. It just takes out the chunks of HP. But these are all fantastic, but though do note this 60% block rate increase. Over next to the second passive skill, Berserk Fury. What happens here is whenever she triggers an active skill, she will gain 5% additional attack and 2% additional crit damage. This I see come into play often in Sanctuary, where you can have multicast and she can gain so many stacks and gain an extra attack. That's a nice little place to see it, but in regular battles, just because there are 15 rounds, and she's going to be triggering this, like every 3 rounds, depending on how energy is stacked, you're going to see some boosts. She's going to be able to increase her total cap, as it's limited here in the active skill to like 1500% of her attack. That'll increase when her attack increases, and this is a nice little skill ability over time, she's just going to do more damage with her HP block skill. We'll get to shortly. Just by casting her active skill. So this makes her very nice for long battles. But over here, Desperado is exactly what we're looking for. This allows her, according to my notes here, to trigger some skills. After successfully blocking 3 times, and this can be in any order, it doesn't have to be consecutive, she will remove all control statuses from herself. This includes Petrify, Terrorize, Silence, Freezing, Stun, yeah, you name it. And then also deal 20% max HP damage, which is capped at 2,500, to 3 random enemies. This is what made her very devastating against Ithel and devastating against Joan. But also, she's going to heal herself for 40% of the damage dealt by this skill. Wow. Yes, this is what had her completely shocking the meta at her release and has kept her in everyone's team. I see her everywhere. Fenrir is just completely, overpopulated in a lot of clusters, to put it nicely. She is fantastic in Playground, fantastic in Elite League, PvP, you name it. This skill is what just helped her put some girls down. It helped push Ithel out. It helped keep Joan down just because of that mechanic. But that has been kind of patched. The Remnant and the Pursue will no longer be blocked by this skill, but the assists from Joan will still be blocked, so you have to keep that in mind. She's going to be able to keep them in check with this skill, but as you'll see in some of the replays throughout this video, Fenrir does not need Joan or Ithel on the enemy team to really shine. She is perfect defensively, and this skill just helps her do extra damage that is HP based. We love that. And also heal herself to keep it in the battle. Her loadout needs to reflect this block and HP tankiness that she needs. Some characters, especially with labs, will have precision. Precision will be the best thing to use against Fenrir to prevent her from blocking. And also Uriel is able to seal this, so a sealed Fenrir will not be able to trigger this block passive, even though she will still block. So she won't be able to heal or do damage. So keep that in mind. Let's look at how to build our Fenrirs here next in the gear tab. Crystal can stay at Dragon Jade 6. You do not need to go any higher. 25% block, 6% HP is fine. The investment for going much higher is not really worth it. You will find yourself needing those chisels somewhere else. So at a 6-star Dragon Jade, 25% block is perfect enough. I think that's the only one I have here. I did have HP because I was experimenting something else. But if you do put a block antique like Echoes on Fenrir, you can use HP, sure. But block HP is where it's going to be at. Nice block of HP there in itself, 26%. Alright, the antique though. This one's a bit flexible. Generally, most folks are going to have Black Magic Hat or one of the variations, like Crown or Cloak. It's going to give a 30% damage reduction and 14% HP. This is just for her tankiness. She's going to be blocking, healing, doing her damage, but keeping her out on the field in that position is going to be the strongest play. Something that I like to do with Fenrir is also give her Eternal Dawn because it increases her attack overall. And with this attack increase, she increases the general cap of the HP damage she does to enemies. As it is capped over here to 1500% of attack, and the passive capped to 2500% of attack. You can't increase this any other way except increasing her attack. So that's going to be very important for your choices in antiques. There are some other ghost antiques, I believe, in the shop that are pretty well designed at increasing her attack or control immunity. HP attack, well, the HP tech here for Eternal Dawn is 25%, which is pretty massive. And then the damage depletion, which helps protect her against other HP damage sources from the enemy team, will be very nice. So do keep that in mind. If you do have Eternal Dawn, Fenrir is a very good choice to have it on. Speaking of which, the class set gear, which I'll get to here shortly, is Warrior for her. So when looking at the 3 different choices, Veteran is very solid for allowing her to heal and clear statuses. But if you're using damage reduction or damage depletion, added protection will help stack on top of that too. 1.5% of additional damage depletion that can stack up to 8 times. This is just going to increase and work very well with Eternal Dawn. Increase her tankiness and viability in staying on the field and triggering those blocks. Warrior set, of course, I just have it at 1. This added protection is fine at level 1 here, but you know, for the most part in this current meta, you want to be focusing on other class sets. 1-star warrior for the abilities is perfectly fine. In the potentials realm over here, this is what I like to use in player versus player. Full HP, extra healing, just because Vivian's, Raphael's are out there. Our Fenrir here can really benefit from her own healing and the healing from allies. Over here, Baptism, I decided to keep this on here because Nephilim marks, Resonance marks are still out there, and even Izanami's marks, which were recently fixed. Now don't just disappear, they stay on there until they're cleansed off, or the timer runs out, of course. So removing that so that she can keep on healing will be very strong. Definitely consider keeping Baptism on your Fenrir. Although the self-healing, if you know you're not fighting Izanami or other girls that use marks, is also going to be very good. And then of course you always have shield on your L5 girls. Skins, she does have quite a couple of skins, and she did win one of the oath skins that should be coming up soon. We have Alpha Wolf, which increases her HP attack and crit damage. Very solid stats. And then Festive Glory, which gives her damage reduction and block, which we do like. All these skills are fantastic, and hopefully this skin comes back around. This was for the Lunar Year celebration. Alright, and then here's just a quick overview of how she looks with some of these stats. That was Eternal Dawn. Let's go back to Black Magic Hat, which is the very popular build. 77 million here and a half. Decent block percentage. Very popular build that you'll see, especially when people like countering Joan, was to use echoes and just give her even more block percentage. That is incredible. 166 at rate. She will block anything that comes her way. Alright, so something also interesting I wanted to point out here that I have written is the Izanami shield synergy. Izanami's shields, when deployed on your team, protects your girl completely. So whenever an enemy hits the girl, it's hitting the shield and not your character. You'll notice this when Izanami is targeting Fenrir with those shields and an enemy hits. Fenrir's not gonna block because the shield will take the full impact. It just works kind of weird, although she does gain the energy and so she can be CC'd through it. It just doesn't trigger marks. I've noticed this with Gabriel, noticed this with, you know, Fenrir's blocking. Just doesn't make it all the way through the shield. I don't know if that's a mechanic issue, but it's just something that was noticed. Of course, throughout this video, you're going to see some live testing of Fenrir just being able to hold off and keep the team at bay and be able to do a lot of damage, especially since Vivian with her basic attacks only hits front 1. And people spamming 2 or more Vivians are gonna have a good time targeting your Fenrir. Just make sure you keep her healing up, since Vivian's marks are going to make pretty short work of Fenrir if she's not supported. Alright, so this is my quick review here on Fenrir. Of course, her viability has not gone down at all with the recent updates, and the recent tier list does still have her at tier 1. So she's going to be a very strong bulwark tank to keep on your team, and certainly used in old campus exploration. Some of those floors have Jones and Ithils, that she can make pretty good work out of. The Izanami and Uriel stage is also pretty easy for Fenrir. Just make sure you send her in there adequately geared. I think let me see if I can build it here. It was the block HP. You wanted to have umbrella, and then added protection was good too. And also extra heal. This is normally how I take my Fenrir into old campus exploration, just because against that Izanami and Uriel stage, you do not want to be tagged by Seal or Trial of Belinus from Uriel. Then she won't be able to trigger her passive skill over here with the blocks. So taking her in here with this kind of setup will allow her to get over 50 points with good RNG. The other floors, since they don't have like strong CC as Uriel, you can just take Black Magic Hat or your Eternal Dawn in. Of course. Other PvE modes like Sanctuary Boss and Guild Boss 61. Fenrir does a solid amount of damage, but she's not going to get hit by the one solo boss too often. So her block won't be procted as much as we want, so it's not something that you're going to see very high numbers with. And then in Practical Works, and what's another PvE mode? I guess your Excursion. You're probably just better off taking a different girl that'll do more damage. We don't really have mob bosses like in IH, so Fenrir doesn't really shine as much in those modes. Mainly, she's able to hold down a full varsity team on her own, work very well in JV and Elite League, and especially in Playground, where she can do plenty of damage with that block passive skill. Of course, if you're fielding your own Fenrir, I want to hear all the stories of how she's dominated Joan, Ithil, or other girls, especially when she holds her own in a full varsity squad. If you have those stories, please be sure to comment down below. If you enjoyed this review, I'd also appreciate a like and subscribe. I want to bring the best type of content that is informative to you. Of course, if you have any questions, I also want to hear about those. And of course, happy gaming.
さて、今度はどんな冒険が待っているのでしょう。二十歳の歌声で踊りなさい。
問答無用、カオス殲滅。
お星様、どうか私を導いてください。お星様、どうか私を導いてください。二十歳の歌声で踊りなさい。
問答無用、カオス殲滅。
お星様、どうか私を導いてください。お星様、どうか私を導いてください。